talk to you a little bit about dog fooding. And dog fooding is this idea of testing out your own app, your own product, your own library, your own tool, whatever it is you're building on something that you're actually using it for. So you become the user, so to speak. And as you guys know, I'm rebuilding AgnosticUI, and I do have ways to test it and verify it. I have 3 storybooks, one in Lit, one in Vue, one in Svelte. I have docs I'm building in VitePress, and that verifies that Vue is working because all the examples are in Vue. But I wanted to dog food it in kind of a real app, and so I have a website, a fun website for learning language, bilingual language learning app called LasChispas. And I coded this with React, ShadCN, and Tailwind. No surprises, because I was sort of hybrid coding it and vibe coding it in my spare time. And I did this, I think, over the summer. And since then, I've just seen that almost everything AI related for the front end seems to use this stack: React, ShadCN, and Tailwind. I have things I like and don't like about them, but I don't want to bash or criticize these frameworks or these libraries. But what bothers me is it seems like there's no technical diversity in the output. You use V0, you use Lovable, you use Bolt, you use Cursor, Claude Code. Anything you start to build a UI, it's going to end up with React and ShadCN and Tailwind. And I'd like to see a little more diversity. Hopefully mine and my AgnosticUI and other libraries, Chakra, Zag, whatever. I'd like to see more diversity: Vue, Svelte, web components. So anyway, that's my little digression, my little rant. But I did want to try to dog food my components in my own app. And so I started with a button. So these buttons here were ShadCN buttons, and now they've been converted. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. You can see here, this is an AG button. So all of these buttons here are the AgnosticUI buttons, as are these. And when I did this, I think I learned some things about the line height and typography, the padding, and I tweaked it a little bit. So I definitely did learn some things from doing this. But then the next thing that I tried to work on was the menu component, which is this thing. And this is now pretty much working the way it's supposed to. But I'm going to just quickly show you all the things I encountered. So this is something I had, what I thought was pretty much code complete. I have a menu here, and right now I'm using my keyboard. I can keyboard navigate. It's accessible. Lots of different tests and stuff. And let me show you all the things that dog fooding this thing made me discover. So I'm going to do a little bit of fudging in the Chrome tools to simulate some of the problems that I encountered. So the first thing, and I don't know why I didn't see this. It's kind of funny to me that I didn't see this, but the way this was positioned was top 0. So it looked like this. And so it was like on top of the trigger button. So if you see, this is the trigger button here that's got the blue focus ring. And so it was top 0, and that's no good. And I realized, I have to do a calculation of the height of the trigger button and make sure it's sitting beneath it. So the first thing I did was basically looked like something like this. I'm just simulating the dynamic. I'm gonna have to overwrite what's there now. So it was right beneath the trigger button. Now, in most cases, that's fine. That's kind of what it's going to look like here in these places, right underneath. But it turned out in my app, because the header's a little bit bigger than these buttons, I needed a little extra gutter, a little additional gutter. So I actually had to do a second thing, which was to have a prop which allows you to have an additional gutter. So if we go back to what this looks like, it's taking the calculation. So dynamically, it's measuring the height of the trigger button, and then it's adding this additional gutter. And I think if you see, let's see, here it is. So here you can actually see these arguments in the web component here. And you can see I'm passing in additional hyphen gutter. This is interesting. This is a web component. In the React wrapper, it's additional gutter camel case. But I have a CSS property AG space 4, and this is basically one rem. So I can actually show you, if I go back over, if I can find it to where the menu is, you can see that maps to one rem. So there was the second thing I had to do to get it to clear this header nicely. And the other thing, I'm maybe going out of order. The other thing that I didn't have set up was a right align. So by default, let's see if I can set this up. Where is that? Give me a second. I'm trying to remember where I have where this actually falls. Well, I can go to the argument and show you what it looks like. So I had to add a menuAlign right. So if I don't have this, by default, it aligns left, which is usually what you want if you're just on a page and this is, somewhere else, but it's on the right side. So I need it to right align. So that was yet another thing I discovered I needed, was to have it right align. And then I got that working and I got this position right. And then I went through here and I was like, one of the things I always do is let's use our keyboard navigation. And right now I'm using up arrow, down arrow, right? Well, that wasn't working. I wasn't able to get into this first element. So I'm thinking, why is that a problem? It's working. I've got 10, 15 other tests going. How could that not be working? And so when you look, when I did an exploration of what I was dealing with here, I realized, oh, I have these menu items that change based on whether I'm on mobile or not. So right here, so some of them change at a medium breakpoint using Tailwind. And then if you notice, this try fluency lock is at a smaller breakpoint. So those things are dynamically there. And so what was happening is my keyboard navigation JavaScript was basically hitting a dead end because those are hidden. So what I needed was a way to opt into checking for hidden links. And so that was yet another thing. I'm trying to see if here it is. So if you look at these guys, now they're hidden. So these are all those links. And what I had to do was, when you're focused on the menu, I had to make it such that these are not considered, and you hit down arrow and you go to the ones that are visible, which is all the way down here. So to do that, let me just show you what I mean. So you see, I can, even all those, I don't know if it's 6 links or something that are hidden, it skips past those in the keyboard navigation listener. So if I come back over to here, now it doesn't skip them. So in order to do that, I can show you a little bit of code for this. But the big point I wanted to make before I get into the code is, what is that? 4 or 5 pretty major things discovered by Dogfooding this one component in my app, really using it as an end user. So I would just encourage people, maybe you're already doing this, and I'm just humbly encouraging you to go ahead and try to become a user of your own app, your own product, your own tools, your own library, whatever it is you're building. And sometimes we're building things that we, for a doctor or a dentist, and we don't really know about, what it means to be a dentist. We're not trained in that. And I think it really is important to start to read articles and, to try to understand what is a thing that a dentist cares about if I'm building software for a dentist or something like that. And really, I guess the overused cliche word is empathy, but trying to imagine what they'd be looking for. And if you are the kind of target, what is it, ICP, the ideal customer profile, if you are the target user, all the better if you're scratching your own itch in terms of being able to do that. With the disclaimer, obviously going and having real other users use your stuff eventually when it's ready is also important. So let me show you some of the code that I had to do. So we'll switch from me preaching about dog fooding to some of the stuff that I found in header. So let's see. One of them was that menuAlign. Okay, so all this stuff was what we were talking about. So by default, it aligns left, and this property wasn't even there before, so I needed a way to opt in for aligning right. So we did that, and then this is that additional gutter that I was telling you about. So by default, it's going to align up, just a smidget below the trigger button, as you'd expect, but you can add spacing to it in that way. And then there's another one for check for, was it check hidden? Yeah, check hidden items. So this is what we saw where I was showing you that I was using Tailwind, MD : hidden or SM : hidden. And how do we accommodate that and allow that, yet still have a working keyboard navigation? And so this is actually in the comment. I left a comment to show exactly the use case. So you've got your menu here, and you're saying, hey, I want this hidden once you get up to the medium size. Okay, and so this guy's always visible, but this guy is wrapped in, only up to medium query point, breakpoint. And so the way this works is an opt-in. So by default, we don't do this. You have to opt in for it because the idea is, well, what if you had 100 menu items? We don't want to run heavy computations, and you'll know what I mean in a second when we go look at how this is implemented. So yeah, so check hidden items is false by default, but you can opt into it if you want to accommodate this case. Probably if you're using something like I'm using, where you've got 5, 6, 7 items, it's a no-brainer. It's not going to cause any problems. The reason why you wouldn't want to is if you're talking about like 50 or 100 or a couple hundred items, because what we have to do is in here when we get the items to consider. So this is get navigable items. And so when we're using our keyboard navigation, what are the actual elements we're navigating with the up and down arrows? Well, that's determined here. And if we haven't opted in for check hidden items, then we just simply filter out any items that are disabled or have ARIA hidden. If we have opted in for check hidden items, we have to do a more comprehensive check. So we skip past this and we come into is element navigable just above. And so that again is going to check for disabled and ARIA hidden. If it's one of those, obviously, we don't want to consider it. And then skip visibility checks if not enabled. I think this is actually code I can nuke because we're only supposed to be calling this is true. So I might have found some redundant code, I think. So excuse me. But otherwise, we're going to check the computed style to get the style of that component. If it's display none or visually hidden, then we're going to return false. But if you go back here and look at how this is structured, these menu items that are being hidden are actually wrapped in a parent. This div, so if you look here, SM hidden, this is a div that's wrapping this menu item. And this menu item is the one that's actually being considered. So I have to walk up the DOM, but I don't want to do it indefinitely. So I get the, if I get the element's parent, because I've already checked the element itself, and I would have returned false if it had display none or hidden. So now I have to get the parent element. And I say while there's a parent element and parent does not equal this. Well, this is just the AG menu. So it only goes up one or at most, I think that's 2 levels. So it's not going to like infinitely crawl up the DOM. And then I look at the parent style and I do the same check. Is it display none or visibility hidden? If so, then I prune that out of there. I return false. So that gets filtered out. So display none is actually what Tailwind is putting on for those classes. That's what the style turns out to be. I don't really like styling to a specific library like Tailwind, but it's pretty ubiquitous. And frankly, this is probably how other implementations are going to do it anyway. And it's opt-in. So that's some interesting code. I don't want to go too much deeper. I want to show you some code, but I didn't want to like take you much further into the weeds. So getting back into dog fooding. So that's, 4, 5 big potential bugs, but maybe features that we've added to this component. It's more robust. It can align to the right. It preserves keyboard navigation even when I have hidden items. Because I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit faint. Maybe I should use more contrast on that affordance. It can position itself with an extra gutter. So lots of things that make this now useful and robust for this use case. So I'd encourage you guys to go ahead and try to dog food your own stuff. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one.